So you also specialize in neurolinguistic programming, and how has that helped with coaching and teams and just one-on-one?
Ah, my goodness. You know, I could speak for hours about
Yeah.
NLP. NLP is a course I started. It was probably 20 years ago when I started just a 4-day kind of introduction to neurolinguistic programming, and it's a mouthful, right? And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of beliefs, whether they be opportunistic or limiting beliefs around NLP. But NLP, when taken in its essence, is about doing with, not doing
Mm-hmm.
to. And some folks have taken NLP and it becomes almost a manipulative tool, where
Mm-hmm.
when we actually look at NLP being helping us understand how people, see the world and how they communicate the world around them. But 4 days turned into 60 days because every time I took something, I think most people on this live and yourself too, Cass, can relate to once you find something that really kind of makes you think a little bit and then you slowly put it into practice and you
Mm-hmm.
have evidence that is presented to you, you start to go, wow, this, I want to learn more. I want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn more. So I indulged in 500 in class hours where I was
Mm-hmm.
actually driving back and forth to Toronto on weekends. And,
Yeah.
when you have that level of commitment to something, you're kind of keen on what you're learning. But what it taught me is that you can learn theory, but just like training, it takes time to build up the volume of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And, so almost 20 years later, there are times where I am very tuned into how I architect and design my language with
Mm-hmm.
purpose. And, that means whether it's speaking to groups, whether it's speaking one-on-one, whether it's trying to help somebody get through something. Um, language is labels, and it's
Mm-hmm.
how we understand the world. And the topic today was around mindset and was around
Yeah.
affirmations, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can stop me anytime because I can just keep
No, keep
talking about
going.
this. But I think somebody who is interested in understanding truly what affirmations are,
Mm-hmm.
affirmations often start with what kind of statement? They start with a I am, right? I
Yeah.
am worthy. I am confident. I am strong. Those kind of affirmations, the way they're designed, and I'll go back to that, there's structure in language and then there's design in language. So the structure is how we think about how we perceive things, and we need
Mm-hmm.
congruency and what we call neurological levels. So when you say I am something, that's your purpose, right?
Right.
I
Right.
am happy. So
Mm-hmm.
what underneath that has to kind of be congruent. It's like building a house and making sure you have a really strong foundation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Makes sense.
if you say I am happy, your beliefs have to be in line. Your skill and capability to achieve happiness need to be in line, because if it doesn't, it erodes your purpose. And from a coaching perspective, we try to train our coaches, and some people on the line will recognize the statement is that purpose propels performance,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we are way at the top of that neurological level in an affirmation of I am, what I would encourage people to do, and I need people to listen up a little bit here, is check in with how it feels to say that. So
Mm-hmm.
if you say, I am strong, if your beliefs aren't aligned with that statement, you'll kind of get that ugh,
Mm-hmm.
that am I really strong? And it's good to be curious, because I would coach you on, think about a time where you demonstrated strength.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying, am I strong? And the answer could be yes or no. It's how are you strong? Think about a time when you felt strong. And all of
Right.
a sudden, what that does is it starts to connect the belief to the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could be, so tell me about a time where you were strong. Okay, now I believe in it. What were you doing? Tell me about that.
Mm-hmm.
That brings it to the skill and capability. That's cool. And where were you when you did it? All of a sudden, it
Right.
aligns that and gives even stronger power to an affirmation. So
Mm-hmm.
affirmations are great. As a coach, I would rather people take that a little bit deeper to ensure that we can take it from powerful to super powerful.
Hmm. So like when you're managing self-talk and you're either building confidence with a client or with yourself, what are some strategies that you use? Like you've mentioned that going back and like, okay, what made you feel strong? Or what was one instance that had you thinking, okay, I can do this? What are
Absolutely.
other strategies that you can help people believe in themselves and that I am will work for them?
Great question. I think as trainers, we know we have clients that show
Hmm.
up, and I'd say I whisper here in case they're listening, that show up with perhaps more baggage than their gym bag,
Hmm.
right? And as trainers or instructors or fitness pros or leaders in general, we say a building block to success is what? It's rapport. So our
Hmm.
first instincts are to, oh, tell me all about it. I want to be on your team. And if you're angry at the world, I'm going to be angry with you.
Hmm.
Right. So you're like, mm-hmm,
It's true, yeah.
and
I've done that.
you're likely thinking of a couple clients you have or people that you are in your life that, you're trying to support them because you care,
Hmm.
and the strategies that you employ are first we listen. And we talk about different levels of listening in a coaching scenario where, if your first response is to tell people what you think, you're actually not listening at a level that enables you to truly connect with someone because
Hmm.
you're just taking what they're saying and relating it to something and spewing it out. I talk a
Right.
lot with my hands.
I do
Um,
too.
well, it's called analog marking. There's a reason we do it. It's almost like sign language in some shape or form. But listening is the first thing, Cass. It's so important to really just go, so tell me more about that. And then when you start to listen and understand where that person is coming from, you're able to formulate more powerful questions.
Hmm.
So, if somebody comes in and they're a client and they're telling you about how crappy their boss is and how a peer of theirs has ticked them off, whatever,
Hmm.
it's just, you could say, well, it sounds like you've had quite a rough day,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? The good news is, and then I would just say, so how do you think you can get through this? What do you need?
Hmm.
So by saying how instead of do you think, it's not a closed question. It's not I can't deal with this. And
Hmm.
when I say how, it's actually insinuating that I believe they can. So caring is about helping them find a solution, not locking in and anchoring on the problem.
Mm.
Does that make sense as a strategy?
Yeah.
So,
Having,
yeah,
yeah, just being open-ended with the question and figuring out a solution rather than
yes.
saying this.
Like use the word how.
Hmm.
How do you think you can get by this? And I'd say, well, what do you need? What do you think you need to get through this? And they might say something like, you know what, I should have more patience. And then if you know your client well enough, you can say, I know you're super patient. How is this different?
Hmm.
So can you now let's get into our physical workout because sometimes doing the workout is not what the session ends up being about. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? We
Right.
get super close to our clients, which is awesome. But our role is to take them and make them better, right? Take them to the
Hmm.
next level. So if we use physical fitness or exertion in an anger state, you're actually anchoring on the anger.
Mm.
So we want to
Makes
say,
sense.
yeah, so what do you need to get through this? Right? So have you heard the term, I can do it?
Yes.
Right? And we'll often say, I know you can do this. Come on. The important thing is that the client knows that. So even in a simple statement, like if you wrote down, I can do it, right? I is identity. That's up here at the top in the neurological levels. Can is your belief. Like, do you think you can? Right?
Hmm.
Do is the skill and capability, and it is the behavior or the environment you're in. So
Hmm.
I can do it is a very powerful, simple statement that when you actually kind of can just by architect and design start to thread that into your coaching,
Hmm.
so I'll ask that question. I know you can do it. Do you? And you
Right.
can tell by their response, right? And you can almost see them going into their memory going, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. And so do you have affirmations? Do you like for yourself? I know some people love the daily affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
and having either like a notebook or like they have quote of the day to like keep them going. Is that something that you find helps you or can help other people?
I mean, the world is flooded with with motivational, spiel.
Hmm.
For me, I do some self-talk. Like for instance, I often tell the story about, before we do things like this, where we are performing in some level, and we're in front of people, we're exhibiting our skill and capability. We are, sharing what our beliefs and values are through how we present and our skill. And even before, and I point over here because that's where I do the midday breaks and such. Like a lot of people, a lot of rooms in your homes have turned into home gyms.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, but I often tell the story about when I was playing very competitive hockey. I had a coach that I think he knew more than he thought he knew actually at the time. But I would get nervous before games, like super nervous, like butterflies in my belly and just anxious.
Hmm.
And I said to him one day, come off the bus. And I had a CD Walkman because that's how old I was. I had a CD Walkman. And I just said, Coach, I am so nervous. I'm afraid I'm going to make mistakes, right? Limiting belief. I'm afraid I'm going to make mistakes and I don't want to let the team down, kind of like help. But I didn't say help, but I was looking for help. And he just said, don't worry about it, Kim. The more butterflies, the better. They give you wings. So in that moment, what he did for me is he took what was a limiting belief for me and reframed it to actually something that was powerful and positive. So to this day, and I was probably about 17 at the time, to this day, I recognize before I do, even speaking to you this morning, because
Hmm.
this is a privilege. And to me, this is an opportunity to give my best because you deserve my best. And the people that are listening deserve my best. Just like a big game there's things at stake. So this morning I was like, oh, got some butterflies, but what that does for me is it connects to me saying, okay, Lav, you've got this. So the butterflies could have been nervous energy, but now it's fuel for me. So
Hmm.
anytime before I'm speaking in front of a group, hosting an important call, I get butterflies, but it tells me they give me wings. So let's do this.
Right. I love that. I'm gonna remember that. Gives you wings.
It gives you
It's
wings.
the same thing. Like even before these calls or performance, like when I'm about to enter the powerlifting or whatever competition I'm doing, it's
Yeah,
like I have that. One, I need to pee. It's like for some reason that's my thing. It's like I need to pee,
absolutely.
and
Pre-game.
then same thing. Gotta go. Also, the butterflies. The butterflies always kill me. It's just like okay, breathe. I can do this. It's not the first time, but
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the same.